Hi guys, hang on for 1 minute and Alice Laviat, yeah, we'll talk about that, Eva. Okay, so I just have to grab some things, so just hang tight there for 1 minute and I just want to, where's my, hold on, my YouTube live. Okay, I thought I put it over here. Hold on. Somehow. Where did my YouTube live go? Alright, let me just open it up so it's right next to it so I can see the chat. Hope everybody's doing okay today. Okay. I was up to my neck in paperwork, and I did get the invoices out for the auction for my people. I think I've sent everyone email addresses that they needed for theirs. Hopefully that is all taken care of. It's being, I'm going to check in with you later on. Jimmy has a concert coming up, and hang on. Okay. So yeah, Jimmy has a concert coming up, and that's at 10:30 tonight. But that's why I'm going to read through this area stuff now, because otherwise I'll be way too tired afterwards. All right, let me just pull this up now. Yeah, I think we were kind of in the middle here the last time. This is part 3. If you missed part 1 and part 2, I'm going to get them linked in the video description. Oh my gosh, I need like a team of people. All right. Let me go here. I think I have it here, so I'm just trying to see where we were. Where's our person that used to remember the exact thing? Cared about him. I know the church has a general plan. You start having kids. Okay, yeah, and start contributing to society and your church. This is when Detective Flores was talking with her again. Okay, I'm just going to start here. We may be doing a little bit of a repeat of a couple of paragraphs, but that's about it. I got to that. I know I read that. Let me see. Okay, so they started to talk about the trip to Mexico, and she was saying, no, it was never a problem. So let's start there. So Jodi says, yeah, there was never a discussion that I was going to Cancun, not on that trip, not with him. Maybe sometime in the future, some other time with somebody else, but no. So that was not an issue. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. You guys can hear me? Hi, everybody. Hi, Slamara and Tamiana. Janae, Teresa Lily, TX Warrior, Carol Plant. Hi, everybody. Eva, easily distracted. Kaza, Sweet Pea. Anybody I missed? You can hear, I guess. Otherwise, you'd tell me, right? Everybody can hear. Can somebody just hit it? Yes, because the last thing I'd like to do is be reading this for like an hour, and then somebody saying, I can't hear you. Did you start yet? Because I don't know, my mic's been acting weird. Okay, thank you so much, Janae. Perfect. Okay. So she's saying the trip was not an issue. And then Flores says, what about the trip of him coming up to you, come to visit you? Was that something that was planned, or was that something like... She goes, yeah, it was supposed to be. Detective Flores says, because I wasn't even sure that was true. Jodi says, no, he was supposed to come twice. He was going to maybe come up and I kind of was like hoping that he would come by March. I'm sorry, I mean May 24th, because I was singing the national anthem at the races, and I thought, it's part of one of my goals for this year, was one of my fears to overcome was being in front of large crowds or public speaking. Detective Flores says, you have anxiety with crowds? Jodi is talking really fast during this. She says, yeah, there were 3 fears. One was handguns, which was the reason I got a gun. This was huge in town, who said he would take me out and go target practicing. And I went to the sporting goods store several times to see what he had. And they were all in the $500 to $600 range for that kind. And I want. So they were just too expensive. But then there was this one. It was cheap. It was $100 and $100 and some dollars. And I said, all right, let's do it. So I put my money down and I got my little 10-day background check and all that. So I got it and I was happy, and then the third was skydiving. So I was going to do that sometime this year, but he wasn't able to make it up there for the, he was scared to tell me that too. He was like, I know you get really upset. Detective Flores says, why was he scared? Jodi says, not scared, hesitant. Detective Flores says, he didn't want you to be upset. Jodi says, he didn't want to hurt my feelings, and he told me that. He was on the phone in early May because I had known about it, that I was going to sing 8 weeks prior. About 8 weeks prior, yeah. Because I had approached the guy at the state down by the Purple Plum, which is the one by the middle. And he works at the gas station area. Detective Flores says, I ate there this morning. Jodi says, oh, really? Pretty good food? Detective Flores says, you used to work there, didn't you? Jodi says, yeah, they're good people. Detective Flores says, I went to go eat there and I couldn't get it out of my mind. Jodi used to work here, constantly thinking about you because of this. Jodi says, it was a good place to be. I worked there twice, actually, when I was 18. Or no, my dad closed his restaurant when I was 16 or 17, and that's when I was a server there. And being a server in a restaurant is probably one of the best positions because you tend to make a little more money than the other positions. Detective Flores says, yeah, tips? Jodi says, it's all contingent, but generally it works out in your favor. Detective Flores says, you've got the personality that people want to tip you. Jodi says, yes. Flores says, so when he didn't come up there was an issue with that? Did you talk about that? Jodi says, well, he put it so delicately that I couldn't be mad. I was sad, but I wasn't mad or anything. He said, he's like, I'm just not sure. He said, there's a lot of stress going on. There's a lot of things right now, this and that stuff going on. And he's like, I've been hesitating to tell you, but it looks like I might not be able to make it up there to watch you sing. And I've been scared to tell you that. And I was like, aw, he says it and he taught me this, his technique. He says it in a way to disarm you at first to where you're just like, oh, now, like reverse psychology sort of. So he says that I could really tell that he was concerned that he would hurt my feelings. Flores says, is that when you decided or he decided to come up, invite you up? Jodi says, no, not at all. Because he didn't invite me until he found out I was going on a road trip. But then he's all, definitely the first week of June, he's all probably before I go to Cancun. And so, as that week got closer, he was like, look, we had a big fight somewhere around then. Detective Flores says, mm-hmm. Jodi says, I don't remember the exact timeline, but it was in late May. And Detective Flores says, was that one of the emails that you sent him? Or Jodi says, which? Oh. Flores says, the large email, your relationship. And Jodi says, oh, just how I think that. Yeah, because I could just tell. Because I edited and I did all the editing and the grammar and the spellings. He's not a very good speller. That on his first chapter of his book, and he wanted to post it on his blog. And I noticed that, he posted the introduction. He's like, special thanks to Katie Barnes, and I've no jealousy towards her. Like, she's a great girl, and there's nothing to worry about. In fact, when I was worried about Lisa Andrews and Alana, Gomez, her best friend, they were spending a lot of time together, and so I wasn't sure. And she would post flirtatious things on his MySpace, and he's like, don't worry about that. He's like, he said at one point, he's like, if you have anything to worry about, it's Katie Barnes. And so I was like, you are so spin. It just throwing the focus off something. And I don't know. I don't think there was ever any concern with that. I know he liked her, but nothing more than a friend. And he's a little freaky and emotionally unstable sometimes, but I think she's just young. I mean, he said she's a little freaky and emotionally unstable, but I think she's just young. She's a nice girl. So he said that. And I'm like, hey, make sure you post a special thank you to Jodi Arias for editing. And he's like, I can't do that. And I was like, why not? And he's like, Jodi, we've discussed this. And what he meant was, people, I made a few comments because he was like, leave me comments on my blog and rate me 5 stars, that kind of thing. And so it kind of looks like people are going there. So I left a few comments, and he saw people who already said things, and he was referring to Sky Hughes, who was like, hey, I noticed a certain someone has been commenting on your blog, and I think it's because he had given her and I told him to say this to, okay, I'll be real quick because I know this is all I'm just giving you the background. We sat next to each other by the last convention at a prepaid legal convention in Oklahoma City. And that's because we buy our tickets way in advance. So we bought our tickets last year. And because he qualifies for executive director every month, which is one of the top levels in the company, he gets to sit on the floor close to the front. And that's close to the stadium seats. So, I had a ticket. He bought a ticket for me at the time. So it wasn't a big deal. But we were just sitting next to each other. But she made a comment, He's, of course, had to explain. Listen, we got our ticket a year ago, and there's no way she's going to give up her seat for a stadium seat. So he sent that ticket. He sent that text either to her friend, Holly, or to her or someone. Anyway, I realized that she was giving him a hard time, so I said, listen, tell her next time she says anything that Jodi is dating other people and that she's moving to California because it was already in the plans to move to California. Flores says, I don't understand why he just couldn't tell you guys, tell them that you guys were still friends. What issue is it? Jodi says, I wondered that too. And he said it's because him and Sky, had a lot of arguments, but it wasn't because they disliked each other. It's because they both sort of have fiery personalities. She has a strict set of standards, and he's just like, hey, so together that's kaboom. And but nonetheless, they were best friends, especially him and her husband Chris, and a lot of their fights were about me, from what I gathered. I don't know a lot about that. Flores says, is that what the email was about, the whole story? Jodi says, yeah, we had that conversation, and I walked to work because I was, she's giggling throughout her response. We spent the day in Scottsdale, and when we were done, we drove to his house, but Deanna was there waiting for him for some reason, to visit him or something, and he was so scared that she would see him in my car that I practically had to keep the car rolling and kick him as I drove by his house. And he's like, don't even put it in park. Just roll up real quick. And he jumped out, shut the door, and he was like, now go, go, go. And I was like, okay. And I just kind of laughed at that. And that was August 18th. Detective Flores said, so I see the type of relationship, exactly what I thought it was. Jodi says, well, his thing was Deanna was, and I don't think that he had anything physical going on with her. I don't know. I don't think so. I know that for a time there was, and then she's pretty strong in that category, I think, as far as her value and standards go. Detective Flores says, so why the trip this time? I know you said he canceled on you even coming up here for the first part of June, right? Why did you end up going there then? Was it because he couldn't go and you guys still wanted to see each other? Jodi says, well, when his trip for the second time got postponed, it was probably the last week of May that and it was kind of obvious that he wasn't going to come then, but he said, listen, after Cancun, I have like 2 weeks that I'll have nothing to do, of nothing going on before I go to DC. He's like, I think that's the best time. He's like, I'm going to see if it works out for my friends up north, Chad Perkins, his friend, and Norma and his wife. We're going to see if we can all do it then. I said, all right, but at the time I was like, whatever, and we'll see. I might just not see you until I go back to Utah at the end of the month. Flora says, so did he know you were coming the first part of June? Jodi says, I wasn't even, I had been talking with Ryan at this point, and obviously there's a distance, and that was difficult, and he really wanted to spend some time with me, and I really wanted to spend some time with him, and it just seemed like he had made a few comments like, when am I going to come out there? And I was like, as soon as you want, but I didn't think he would, I didn't think he was serious. And is this Ryan you're talking about? Jodi says, Ryan Burns. So finally, things began to work out at Casa Ramos with my schedule, which is a Mexican restaurant, and I had a 3-day weekend there. So I thought, I'll take this opportunity and go see Ryan, and that was my intention. Flora says, what happened when you left? Why did you go the other way? That's my question. Jodi says, Flora says, why go to see Travis if you were going to see Ryan as well? And did Travis know you were coming? He knew? I saw you kind of shake your head a little bit. Jodi says, this is hard. Detective Flora says, it's okay. Did he know you were coming? Did you guys talk on the phone? What was the discussion about? Jodi says, Gordon Hinckley mostly. Detective Flora said, the last conversation you had? She goes, that last long one? We talked a little bit prior. Flora says, did you guys talk when you were en route to Phoenix? Jodi says, yeah, just briefly. I told him my phone was dying, which was true. I thought I left my charger in Monterey with Matt. I really honestly thought that I left my charger there, and I had been talking all day between just on the phone. I take lots of pictures of myself. Detective Flora says, I noticed. Jodi says, because I am kind of picky about it, and I guess I take and delete. I take like 20 of them, and then I delete. Detective Flora says, keep one? Jodi says, yeah, keep 2 or 3, or none, depending on, so I talked, a little bit with John Dixon, who I was going to go to San Diego. There's another place on the list there, too. Detective Flora says, that was on the same trip? Jodi says, yeah. It's a little ambitious, but I thought, gosh, says Flores, that's like 2,800 miles. Jodi says, it doesn't bother me. I think I put like 2,400 miles on the car. Detective Flores says, I can't stand driving 45 minutes somewhere. Jodi says, yeah. Where are you flying out of? Detective Flores says, Oregon. Jodi says, Medford? Yeah, that's about an hour. Anyway, it's a pretty drive. So I was a little ambitious, but I like road trips, and sometimes I have a realistic view of things, unrealistic about my time. I tend to show up a little later than expected, which is not unusual for me, but Detective Flores said, so he knew you were coming? He was expecting you? Obviously, you guys had, a little encounter. Is that when those pictures were taken? Did he even show you those pictures? It's going to be all right, Jodi. Jodi says, I feel powerless in here. Detective Flores said, I know. Jodi says, do you know what my family is doing today? Flores says, no. She says, do you know if they are good? Flores says, I haven't talked to them today. I know they're worried about you. Everyone is just kind of in limbo right now. So obviously there was nobody else at the house when you got there. His roommates were gone. Well, there was Napoleon, but Jodi says he's a person too. Detective Flores says, yeah, I got to meet Napoleon. Jodi says, he is so awesome. Detective Flores says, but nobody else was there? Jodi says, I think his roommates were there. Detective Flores says, you think his roommates were there? Were their cars there? You would have had to have seen their cars. You parked in the driveway, right? Jodi says, yeah. Detective Flores says, one roommate parks in the garage and the other parks outside. Jodi says, well, I know Zach would park on the street a lot when I lived there before, and he pulled his car in the garage whenever he would work on it. Detective Flores says, what makes you think his roommates were there? Jodi says, I asked him. Detective Flores says, what did he say? Who was home? Jodi says, he said they were there, but I don't know who. The reason I asked was because it's kind of an indication of how quiet we have to be. Detective Flores says, what time was that? Do you remember what time you rolled in? Jodi says, 3 o'clock a.m. It was dark. Detective Flores says, Wednesday morning? Jodi says, I think. Detective Flores says, yeah, that makes sense. Flores says, you're pretty sneaky. You go up there and the roommates don't even know that you're there? Jodi says, I did that many, many, many nights. Flores says, how did they not see your car? Jodi says, I don't know. I was parked there. Detective Flores says, oh, you know what? Zach was house sitting for a girlfriend. His girlfriend was on a trip with, on a cruise with her parents, and he was staying the night. And I think he was staying the night at... Jodi says, that makes sense because I want to say that he said his roommate was home, but I don't remember. But I think he said one roommate was home. Flores says, one roommate? Enrique? He gets up at about 5:36 in the morning. Jodi says, and if I'm correct, then Enrique has the room that shares the wall with Travis's room, which is fine. And you know, it's a KB home. Travis used to say the walls are really, really thin. Flores says, yeah, they skimp on that part. Yeah, so Enrique was home. So you went in around 2 or 3 in the morning, but he gets up at about 6. And no, he leaves the house at about 6 in the morning, and he didn't notice anything different. Did you guys spend the whole day together then that following day? Did you guys go anywhere or just stay in the house? Jodi says, slept. Detective Flores said, well, after a long trip, I'd sleep too. Jodi says, Travis stayed up all night waiting. He was watching something on YouTube, some stupid video, like, you got to see this. And I'm watching and I'm like, this is so boring. What's the point of that? And he's like, just stupid, pointless stuff. I'm like, okay, I guess everyone's got to have their time to veg out, being so driven and deep as he is for business, which is fine that he watches stuff like that. It wasn't anything profane or bad or vulgar. It was just people dancing, but they had like boxes of foil on their head. It was like really weird, like robotic kind of music. Flores said, the pictures that I showed you of you laying on the bed and stuff, was that when those pictures were taken that day? Jodi says, we also made a video, but we deleted it. Flores says, a video on his camera? Videos are hard to get once they're erased. They take up so much room, whereas pictures are a little different. Jodi says, Flores says, what happened after that? What went wrong? I know the last photos of him were taken 5:20, 5:30, and you said he doesn't like you to take pictures of him and stuff. Jodi said he was very private about the shower, like we... Detective Flores laughs. Was that why you were taking pictures of him in the shower? No, Jodi says. Flores says, trying to get back at him? No, Jodi says. Flores says, I'm surprised he allowed you to take pictures of him in the shower. The first few looked like he wasn't too comfortable, but obviously whatever you were saying to him made him a little more comfortable. Jodi says, I remember all that pretty clearly. You remember that? Flores says. What went wrong? Did he say something to you? Were you angry about something? Were you frustrated? What was it? Something happened at that point and I don't know what it was. Jodi says, what are they going to do with the rental car? Are they going to bring it here? And Detective Flores says, There were several photos of him, and the last one that we have of him is sitting in the shower, and that's when I think it happened. He was sitting down, looking up at you. What did you do? What happened, Jodi? You've gone this far. Did you plan on doing that the whole time? Jodi says, no. Detective Flores says, then why? Tell me. I don't believe you planned it, but then I don't understand why. Why you took a gun with you. Jodi says, oh, I didn't. Detective Flores says, where was that gun from then? Where did you get it? Everybody said he didn't have one. Where did you get it if you didn't take it? Did he have one in the house? Jodi says, not to my knowledge. Then where did you get it? Didn't you bring it with you? Did you get it in there in Arizona? Jodi says, I didn't even have it actually, like having it in my possession. Detective Flores said, then who had it? If you didn't have it, and Travis didn't have it, then who had it? Jodi, please. Jodi says, I can't. Detective Flores says, why not? Are you protecting someone else? Why would someone else do this? Jodi says, I don't know. Flores says, did someone catch you there? Someone not expecting you to be there? Jodi says, they would have seen my car. Flores says, then who was it? Jodi says, I don't know their names. Listen, I will tell you. I can tell you everything that I know or that I remember. Flores says, okay, what do you remember from the time that you were taking pictures to the time you left? What happened? What happened after the last picture was taken? You have to tell me. If you want me to believe someone else was there, you have to show me. You have to explain what happened. Otherwise, it was just you. And if that's the case, that's okay. That's okay as well. Jodi's now crying. And she says, it's better if everyone thinks that. Detective Flores says, if everyone thinks it was just you? No, it's not. Jodi's crying. It is, really, you have no idea. Detective Flores says, I do. Jodi says, no, you have no idea. Detective Flores says, you're going through your own things right now. If somebody else was there with you, we need to know that. Why would somebody do that just because you're there with Travis? Jodi says, they didn't say. Flores says, Jodi says, they didn't say. Flores says, he didn't say? What was the first thing that they did to him? You were there. You saw it. What was the first thing? Jodi says, I actually didn't see it. I heard it first. Was there an argument? No. Jodi says, not between Travis and I. Flores says, any argument between anybody? Jodi says, yeah. Is there a way I can see those pictures? Detective Flores says, no, not right now. Jodi says, can I see them soon? I will. Oh. Flores says, you need to start letting me know what happened. You're telling me that some other people were there. You know how much that concerns me? Jodi says, I don't know who they were. They know where I live, or they know where my parents are. I don't know if they know where my grandparents are, but they got my address. They know where my family is. Sorry. Flores says, so you're trying to say that you're doing this to protect your family? Why would someone do this to you and to him? Jodi says, I don't think they really intended to do anything to me. Detective Flores says, you're saying that someone followed you all the way to Arizona from here? Jodi says, no, I don't think that. I think it was I was an element of surprise for them. Detective Flores says, you were an element of surprise? So they didn't expect you to be there? Jodi says, I am guessing. I don't think so. Flores says, they didn't expect you to be there? Jodi says, I mean, they had to have seen my car. Flores says, is it someone who lives in Mesa locally? Jodi says, I didn't recognize them. Flores says, well, you have to give me a motive. Why did they do this? Were they going after Travis? For what reason? You tell me this, but give me no reason? Jodi says, they didn't discuss much. They just argued. Flores says, about what? Jodi says, about whether or not to kill me. Flores says, for what reason? Jodi says, because I'm a witness. Flores says, a witness to what? Jodi says, him, Travis. Flores says, of Travis's murder? Jodi says, yeah, but I didn't really witness it. I didn't see much. Flores says, you need to make this believable because it's not believable to me right now. You need to give me something. Jodi says, okay, listen. Flores says, I am listening, Jodi. I am listening, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Jodi says, that's fine because my family will. Flores says, well, Help us protect your family, if that's the case. Jodi says, they got my driver's license. It has a P.O. box on it. Flora says, mm-hmm. Jodi says, they have my registration out of my purse, which was in the purse that I'm using at the time, and has my parents' address on it. Flora says, why would they do this? Do you see where I'm coming from? Why? What kind of beef did they have with him? Or was it with you? You need to make this believable. People just don't go in somewhere and kill somebody for no reason and then let a witness go. That doesn't happen. They have already killed one person. Why not just take care of the other? You know who they are, if you're telling me the truth. Jodi says, I don't know them. Flora says, then I don't believe you either. I can't. You can't expect me to. I want to. Jodi says, I wasn't planning on going to Travis's house. I was going to Santa Cruz. Well, I wasn't planning on going to Santa Cruz. I was going to Monterey. But by the time I called Matt, he was like, we're in Santa Cruz. Meet us here. And I said, okay. So I went to the Red Room there, which is just like a little hangout for locals and younger kids our age, sort of 20-somethings and 30-somethings. And I stayed the night in Monterey that night, got up in the morning, and I visited with Daryl and his son before he went to school. This is Tuesday the 3rd, and driving to LA, I hadn't heard back from Laura yet, but it wasn't until I got to LA where I thought I was looking at my map and Utah wasn't really on there, but I mean Arizona, because it was to Utah on the MapQuest directions I printed. Okay, I just see, I've seen The Sopranos, and they are not mafia or anything, but I honestly, there's a part of me inside that thinks they are never going to come after my family. Detective Flora says, well, from what you're telling me and from what I know about Travis and all his dealings, there's no reason anyone would go after him. Nothing. So what you're telling me about two people coming in, or however many people coming in and taking care of him and letting you go, it sounds so far-fetched to me. Why would they do this? What were they arguing about? What did they say? Their details. Jodi says they didn't say a lot. They were white Americans, from what I could tell. They had what do you call those things? They're like beanies, but they cover your whole face, and they've got like holes for your nose and eyes. Ski mask, Flora says. Jodi says one was black. I think they were both black or dark blue or something. It wasn't until I was in LA and Laura wasn't getting back to me, and it was already like 9-something, and I was like, maybe I will go to see Travis briefly. I called Ryan. I said my phone was about to die, and I'm trying to get a hold of Matt. Got his voicemail, and I was going to ask him if my charger was there and he could save it or mail it or something. I had a wall charger, I think, and I was just going to charge it later, I guess, when I got somewhere. Anyway, I did call Travis, and I said, guess what? And he said, what? And I said, I'm coming to Arizona tonight. And there was silence. And then he goes, really? And I said, yeah. And he said, what made you change your mind? And I just said, because I told him I missed him or something, but I would have said because you're too compelling, but like he's already got a big enough head about that stuff. So I showed up, and he was looking at YouTube on his computer, on his laptop in the office, and we watched that for a little bit, and he was happy to see me. Napoleon barked, but he always barks when someone walks in, but then he's really happy to see me, and he gets so excited. He does this thing with his butt where he goes around in circles over and over and over until he realizes, stop going in circles. So it was a good reunion. I told him I was tired. I don't know what his intentions were, what he thought my intentions were at the time, but I was very exhausted from the trip, and I just said, I think I'm going to sleep. And he said, that's fine. I slept pretty well the day before, but I was tired from driving all night, so I slept and he slept, and we must have slept until about 1 in the afternoon, Flora says. Yes, Jodi says, it must have been around then, and his roommate was home when I got there. I had never seen his roommate, though, so I must have been asleep by the time he got up and left. Okay, if you don't believe me, that's okay. Flora says, I'm trying really hard. Jodi says, I'm just saying that, it sounds to me like I'm like I'm already in the system pretty far in, and I'm not getting out anytime soon. And as long as this rap falls on me, I think... No, I'm just saying that as long as that is there, it's less of a chance that my little brother who is going to be hurt, or my dad or my sister that live there. Detective Flores says, well, continue on with the story about one. Yes, Jodi says, we had sex a couple of times. Once was in the bed and once was again downstairs in his office, and he was looking at some pictures that I had brought for him. But he had a virus on his computer, so when he clicked the start menu on Windows XP or Windows 2000 or whatever, you have like my pictures, my music, my computer. You can usually click on my computer and then go to the disk drive and open that. Well, he clicked the Windows and it came up, and none of that, my pictures, my music, none of that would come up. So he had some kind of virus he was dealing with. His screen saver was a bunch of little bugs eating up the screen. It's just really weird. And he said, that is from the virus too, I said. A cute screensaver. And he said, yeah, it's my stupid virus. For some reason, that was frustrating for both of us because we couldn't look at the pictures, and there were a lot from our church history trips, which are on my other external drive, which I haven't been able to access for a long time since after Christmas because it just quit. And I just haven't had the money to spend to get all that stuff back. Detective Flores says, so you guys worked at that for a while? Or Jodi says, yeah, we had 3 discs, I think. Detective Flores says, so what time is this now that you guys are messing with the computer? Jodi says, I don't really remember. It was after we had... Detective Flores said a couple of hours or so later. Jodi says, yeah, maybe around noon. I just, he had been cleaning his house, so I couldn't, I wasn't sitting on the couch. Usually I would just chill on the couch downstairs, if no one was home. But he had like chairs and all that stuff all over the couch. And I think he was like cleaning the floors or something. Fed Napoleon. I don't know if he made phone calls or not, or what he was doing on the internet. But at one point he was going to go up and take a shower. And it took a lot of convincing prior. When he was shaving, I was like, I got some ideas and they didn't turn out good at all. Not like I wanted to, but I thought I could get some cool pictures of him shaving because he does the whole old-fashioned thing, like with this little, I don't know how it works. But he liked it though, apparently, because he used it for his profile picture on MySpace. So those didn't turn out as good as I was going to do that later. But I asked him if I could take pictures of him in the shower, and he's like, no. And I was like, I have an idea. And, well, he said, what do you mean? And I said, I saw this thing in a Calvin Klein ad once, and it looked really good. And you're right. He wasn't really comfortable at first. He's standing there, and he says, I feel gay. And then Flores laughs and says he has that look on his face. And Jodi says, so some I deleted and some I kept taking, and some he looked really good, I thought. I mean, the one that you showed me yesterday looking right at you, I think that is a really good picture. He hates it. I don't know what he hates about that. I think it's a very good picture of him. Flores says, so you were taking pictures and showing him? Jodi says, yeah. His shower door was open. His water pressure in that shower isn't that great, so it's not like water was going everywhere. What happened when the last picture was taken, Flores says. Jodi says, well, he was kneeling down in the shower. I don't remember. And she starts moving around with her hands and her body to demonstrate the stuff. He's like, if this is the shower and the sink is over there, I was like right here taking pictures. And I don't really know what happened after that exactly, except I think he was shot. Where were you? Flores says. Jodi becomes very animated. She gets up from her chair, begins to demonstrate where everything was in Travis's bathroom, and then she starts to kneel on the floor to show Detective Flores where she was crouched. If this is his shower and he was sitting here, I was like, well, if this is his shower and he's sitting here, I was like right there on my knees, and his bathtub was right here, and I was taking them here, and I was just going through the pictures, and I heard this loud ring. She gets up, sits back in her chair, pulls both of her feet up onto the edge of the chair, positioned such that her body is on the seat of the chair. Her knees are level with her shoulders. And she says, I don't really remember except that Travis was screaming and I think I got knocked out, but I don't think I was out for long. I know I got knocked in the head, and I've gotten knocked in the head once by my dad when he was really mad, and it wasn't like, actually, he didn't knock me in the head. He just pushed me against the wall and I hit my head and I fell. But in this case, I think it was similar because he was screaming and I was by the bathtub and he was like holding his head, and there was like these two people in there. And what did you see? Flora says, I remember putting my hand on my back because he was on all fours and his knees. He was like, she gets up, moves to the floor. She positions herself on all fours, demonstrating what position Travis was, as she describes this to the detective. On his knees, like this, doing something like this, or something like, I don't know. And she gets off the floor, gets back on the chair, pulling both her feet up, her knees in the position she was before. Jodi says, I was like, are you okay? What's going on? What's going on? And he's like, go get help. Go get help. And I said, I turned around, but there were two people there. One was a guy and one was a girl. And I couldn't tell that at first, but you could see one was a girl and one was a guy because of their build and their voices. And I remember what they were wearing, like maybe jeans. What did they say? Flora says, one was all in black and one was in jeans. What did they say? Did they say anything? Flora says, yeah, the girl wanted to kill me too. What did she say? Flora says, what words did you hear? What phrases? Jodi says, who is that? Who is that? I thought he was by himself or alone or something. And he was like, shut up, just finish it. And Travis was screaming the whole time. He wasn't screaming like a girl. He was just like he was in pain. Like he was like shocked. Like, he wasn't like really moving though. He was just kind of like staying still on the floor. Then what happened? Flora says, well, as soon as he said, go get help, I turned around and they were there. And where were they? They were in the bathroom. Where at in the bathroom? Out in the hallway or in the bathroom? Jodi says the girl was in the hallway, kind of. And the guy was more towards the bedroom, but like still in the bathroom, like on the tile carpet area right where it starts. Okay, Flora says. Jodi says, and he started coming in towards the bathroom too. And she puts her head on the table. What happened? What happened, Jodi? What did you see? Jodi's crying. And she goes, I chickened out like a little biatch. Flora says, you took off? Jodi says, I ran. And he stopped me when he stopped you? Travis, he was like still conscious and still alive. You just left him there? No, I ran into the closet because there was two doors and they were sort of in the hallway already, and he stopped me and he didn't touch me. He was just held the gun to my head and he said, you don't go anywhere. And he told the other girl to finish it. But I didn't see. He was like, he wasn't saying a lot, but what happened? Flora says. He told me to stay there, not to move. Flora says, what was that? In the closet? Where was that? In the closet? Jodi says, no, it was, she reaches across the table. She grabs the tablet that Flores has, turns the top page over to begin drawing on a new page. It was like this, sorry. And she draws Travis's bedroom. No, I'm sorry. Detective Flores then reaches across and takes his tablet away from Jodi, and he begins to draw Travis's bedroom for Jodi and says, this is Flores, here's his bedroom, okay? You got the long hallway to the bathroom, the sink, we have the closet here, and then we have the shower, the bathtub's right here, and then there's the toilet right here, okay? This is the sink. Then his bedroom is, well, actually there, closet door there, and he pushes it towards Jodi. Jodi takes the tablet, she picks up a pen, and she draws on it and says, yeah, exactly. And so his closet is kind of like this. Jodi continues to draw on the diagram. So I ran this way because he was walking this way and she was already right here. And then he stopped me and he said, don't move. And Travis was here or somewhere right around. And he left the room for a minute, and I didn't have my stupid phone because it wasn't charged. And Travis's phone is downstairs, and I didn't know his roommates. I didn't think they were home at the time, so I was like trying to think if there was any way I could call 911 or, get out of the house. And there's no way out except downstairs. His windows are, well, they're 2 stories for one, and they just, they're hard to get to. He had stuff and here and there and stuff here, blinds, screens, and window coverings. I mean, from the outside. And I just, she was over here, and I just rushed her and I pushed her. And there was what? Said Detective Flores. Travis was bleeding everywhere. Detective Flores says, what was she doing to him? Because he had been shot at the time, right? Jodi says, yeah, but he was still alive. Detective Flores says, mm-hmm. Jodi says, he was conscious even, like... Flores says, still talking? Jodi says, oh, he wasn't talking or saying much, but I could tell he was breathing. It seemed like he was breathing calmly. I think he wasn't. He was just there. I can't really remember. It was such a blur. Okay, and so you did what now? You pushed her? Jodi says, she's a little bit bigger than me. Not really in size, but height. What happened? Then what happened? Says Flores. Jodi says, oh, it didn't really deter her. Flores says, did she have any weapons on her at all? Jodi says, yeah. Flores says, what did she have? Jodi says, I thought she was the one with the gun, but maybe she had the gun, but he had a gun, so either there were 2 guns or 1 gun, I don't know. Flores says, well, she's the one who shot him though, right? She's the one here. And he was back here at the time when you saw him. Jodi says, I would think so, because I don't know. I got hit here somewhere. I don't know. Because when I woke up, he was screaming. And I saw her at this point, like right here and walking. She must have been walking back this way. And I saw him sort of following. And that's when he was like, finish it. Okay, Flores says. And then I started running away. And he stopped and he left the room for a couple of minutes. Flores says, why did he leave? Jodi says, maybe. I don't know. Flores says, okay, so what happened after you pushed her? Jodi says, I got Travis, and he wasn't like standing up really. He wasn't really doing much, and I was trying to get him, and she came back, and I got him kind of far, like right here. And she came back, and he was starting just to get weaker and weaker, and this guy came back in too, and she said that they needed to go do me too because I was there, and he was like, no, that's not why we're here. And he had my purse, which was on the dresser, here prior. And what did he do after this? After you guys reached this, just try to stick with the incident. What was going on? Jodi said, she came after me and he stopped her. Okay, Flores says. Jodi says, and she didn't get me. Flores says, how was she going to get you? Did she have a weapon? Jodi said she had a knife. Flores says, okay, you said she had a gun before. Jodi says, I don't know if she had the gun. I think because I'm guessing, I know that he had a gun. I don't know if she had a gun or not. Flores says, oh, so she was basically the aggressor. Jodi says, yeah, unless he took a shot too. I don't know. Flores says, but it seemed like from what you're telling me that she was the aggressive one and he was more passive. Jodi says, yeah, there was definitely aggression as far as I don't know what you define aggression as, but like there was definitely a sternness, and I wasn't like just free to walk out of there like, hey, it's cool. It wasn't anything like that. Flores says, then what happened? Jodi says, they had an argument back and forth, and she wanted to kill me, and he didn't. Flores says, why didn't they kill you? Just because he said? Jodi says, well, he said that's not what we're here for. Flores says, Did they say why they were there? Jodi says, no, but it was obvious that they were there for him. They didn't say why. Flores says, so they seemed like they knew him, obviously? Jodi says, yeah, but he didn't seem to know them. I mean, he was like a little out of it. Plus, they had masks on anyway, but he didn't express any kind of recognition. Flores says, well, he couldn't talk. Jodi says he was able to say, go get help. And at one point he said, go to my neighbor's house, go to my neighbor's house. And there was just like, there was just like no way out of. Flores says, did you see them hurt him anymore? Jodi says, Flores says, other than a gunshot. Jodi says, she had a knife and I don't know. He was bleeding everywhere. It was like, well, when she rushed me afterwards or she came back, I rushed her, but she kind of came back at me. Flores says, why didn't. Jodi says, Travis and I were about here, maybe. I don't know, halfway. I don't know. And there was a little bit of a struggle with her, and I was so scared. I'm not the kind of person that fights, I'm not the kind of person who really knows about self-defense. I took some classes once, but it was like 8 years ago, and I've never been consistent with it. Flores says, okay. Jodi says, I wasn't sure. I just knew I had to hold on to her hands because she had a knife. What hand did she have it in? Flores says. She had it in this hand, but, well, her right. Her right? What happened? So you didn't see him hurt her? You didn't see her hurt him anymore? He was just bleeding? Where did he end up? Jodi says, when I tried getting him here, he said, go get help. And when I tried, came back this way, pushed her, and he said, go to my neighbors, go to my neighbors. And I wasn't like, no, but I wasn't like, I wasn't going to leave. I couldn't leave without him. I was trying, I felt stupid already for trying to run this way. I was going to go to a phone, and he was like, come on. He was naked, but I didn't care. And just come on. And he was like, I can't. And I said, come on. And he said, I can't feel my legs. Jodi said, and they wouldn't let me be by him. Flores says, were you clothed at that time, or were you also nude? Jodi said, yes, I was clothed. Flores says, okay. Flores says, are those pants I showed you the other day on the camera? Jodi says, I don't think I have pants like that. I don't know. I've got a lot of clothes. I'm trying to remember the clothes that I took on that trip. I do have another pair of striped pants, and they're gray, though, with a black stripe. Okay, Flores says. Jodi says, I don't think they were those. I don't know. Okay, so what happened after that? Flores says. Flores said, did they had a conversation about killing you, and they decided not to? Jodi says, she really, really, really wanted to. Flores says, what happened then? Jodi says, from there, they were, I was here, like this, his armoire, whatever it is called, but his TV was here. And I was like right about here, and I had to stay here, and I was calling his name, and they were like, shut the hell up. And I was like, I was just like, I don't know if I was crying. It was all just like, it was so weird. He was like going through my purse, and he pulled out my wallet, and he took some cash, and I thought my cash was stashed in the jeans I had worn, like a good chunk of it. It was like $80 stashed in 420s in the back of my jean pockets, which were in my backpack. I had some cash here, not all of it. So he took that, though. And what happened, Flores said. What was she doing, Flores said. Jodi says, she was like right here that time. Flores said, doing what? He's over here taking stuff from your wallet, from your purse, and you're here, and she's down the hall? Jodi says, yeah, she wasn't far. It's not a far distance. There was part of me, I think, it was just, I was sitting, and I was like, I didn't know what to say. Do you beg for your life? Do you say, who are you guys? I'm powerless because I don't have any way to stop them. They were more powerful, so I figured. Flores says, okay, well, continue on. So once they took the stuff from there, what did they do? Jodi says, she was, I don't know what she was doing, but she was arguing with him and talking with him and saying, what were they saying? Flores says. Jodi says, she was like, it wasn't like super yelling. It was like kind of hushed but intense. Like, You need to ... and shut up. And that's not why we are here. And things like that. And, he grabbed my wallet. He was looking through it. He took the cash and put it in his pocket. And he got my registration out of my wallet. And he said, what did he say? He said, you must be that biatch from California. And Flora said, mm-hmm. And Jodi said, and he was going like this with my registration. And he said, you ever say anything about this? He said that they'll do to my family the same way and me. And I didn't care so much about me at that point. He said, we need to leave. And don't you call anybody. Don't say anything. Don't you act like anything happened. He's like, I'll give you one chance. And she said, she's going to rat us out. She's going to say something. And he's like, shut up. You get one chance. Was that when you left, Flora says? Jodi said, he said, leave now. And part of me didn't want to leave. Travis was still alive. And he was still, he wasn't moving a lot, but he was still alive. I could see that he was still. Flora says, did you leave at that point? Jodi says, I left the room. Flora says, where did you go? Jodi says, I went downstairs, but I didn't have all my clothes. What did you leave there? Flora said. Well, Travis said I had some stuff there. I didn't see what it was. He said it was in his closet. He said there were clothes of mine, but all I had was my purse and my backpack. I left those and I went outside. Mm-hmm, Flora says. And what did you do? I wanted to get help, Jodi said. I just wanted to get help. He told me that if I didn't say anything, that I wouldn't even get to live, that I wouldn't even live to regret it, but that I would regret it. Flora says, no idea why they did this to him? You have to know something about it. Jodi says, I'm trying to think what else was said. Flora said, anything that clicked in your mind, because why would anybody do this to him? He has done nothing but help people. Everybody likes him. He doesn't owe people money. No people like that anyway. He doesn't like to get involved in these things. He's not supposed to get involved. He doesn't do drugs. It doesn't seem like a robbery or a burglary. Jodi says, no, it doesn't. I was wondering if they took my stuff to make it look that way. And they told me to leave. And, Travis usually keeps his cash in his wallet. So you didn't see what happened to him then, Flora says. Jodi says, I just saw that. Flora says, did you get hurt at all? You said you were fighting with her. Jodi says, yeah. What happened to you? Flora says, she cut me. Where at? My hand, Jodi said. Let me see. Where at? Can you show me? Jodi gestures with her left hand. You actually can't see it. If you look at my finger, it isn't the same, though. Let me see. Where did it get cut? Jodi extends her left arm, places on the table. Detective Flores gets up and looks closely at her fingers. Conveniently, it was right on the crease. Flores says, right there on the crease? Jodi says, can you see it? Well, it's kind of purple in color, I guess. This one here? Yeah, right on the crease? Jodi says, well, there's a vein on this one. I don't know. Is this the one here, Flora says? Yeah, Jodi says. Flora says, so it was sliced there, just a small one, or was it pretty deep? Jodi says, I don't know how deep it was, but my finger hurt for a long while. Okay, so right there in that crease, across both of them? Jodi says, not my middle finger. I mean, it cut this one a little, but not much. This is where it really went in. And I don't know how it happened that all of these other fingers were missed, but this one, I don't know. This one, I still can't close the finger all the way. This is as closed as it goes, whereas the little one goes like that. So my CTR ring used to fit both fingers, and I can't get it on this finger anymore. So it cut pretty deep then, Flora said. I guess, Jodi said, if you feel If you feel it, squeeze it. It just feels like bone. Like there's like nothing abnormal there. But then again, like my CTR ring slides right on this finger, and it used to slide right off this finger, and I just can't fit a ring on there, on here. Okay, Flores says. Jodi says, it's a bigger size now. Flores asks her, what about this here? What's that from? That's my cat. Okay, Flores says. I'm pretty sure she scratches me a lot. Flores says, so when you were told to leave, you left? Did you get in your car, drive away? Jodi says, I always have my keys. My keys have a little clip on them, and I do that because I'm very, very spacey. Flores says, did you see any other cars in the driveway or on the street? Any vehicle descriptions you can give us? Jodi says, no, not that. I don't think his roommates were home. Flores says, and you just left? You didn't run into the neighbors? You didn't try calling? You knew that they were in his house? You had time to run to the neighbor? Why didn't you do that? Jodi says, I was really scared. Flores says, okay. Jodi says, I was really freaked out of my mind. Okay. Flores says, I don't believe you. I came in here hoping that you would tell me the truth, and this is not the truth, Jodi. Jodi says, this is all I know. Flores says, this does not make any sense. It does not make any sense. It's all I know, Jodi said. Nothing changes for me, Flores says. Jodi says, I didn't think it would. I'm responsible because I feel I could have done more. I felt that I should have gotten help. I felt like I should have been stronger. Flores says, you feel responsible because you did this. Jodi says, I did not hurt Travis. Flores says, Jodi, you did. You did, and there's nothing you can say that will change my mind. This is an elaborate story that does not make any sense. Two people come in, first two white males, then later you change it to, no, I don't think I ever said white males. Yes, you did. When? At the beginning of the story, and then you changed it. No, one is a female. Jodi says, I knew it was a female the whole time. I said I wasn't sure at first, but you could tell by their build. Okay, it doesn't make any sense to me, and there's no reason they would go after him. There's nothing in his past, nothing at the time he was going through this that would cause someone to do that to him. And the fact that they left you alive and let you go, that never happens. Why would anybody do that? Why would somebody risk the chance of getting caught, letting you run out the front door when you're upstairs in his house, killing somebody, knowing that you could run across the street and tell somebody? It doesn't make any sense. Does it make any sense to you? It doesn't, does it? Jodi says, no. They argued about it. It doesn't make sense. I thought for sure I was dead. I was hoping that you were going to be completely truthful to me today. Obviously, that's not the case. I know you were there. I know you had some situation going on that got out of control, and that cut that you're showing me there, it's pretty obvious how it happened. I've seen that before. That's what happens when a knife slips through someone's hand because of the blood. It's slippery, and it cuts, and that's what happens. I've done this for a long time, and that's the most far-fetched story I've ever heard, and it's not going to help you. Is this how you want to leave this? Jodi says, I just don't want to see my family get hurt. I don't want my family to get hurt. Flores says, your family will not get hurt. It will not get hurt. The way you're hurting your family is not coming forward and telling me the truth. There is a reason why you did this, and you just refuse to tell me why. Maybe because you are cold and calculated, and you went there intentionally to do this, and you are ashamed of it. So ashamed that you'll come up with a story to try to hide it. Jodi says, I was there that day, but I didn't take Travis's life. Flores says, you haven't convinced me, and I hope you can convince a jury, but I doubt it very seriously because there's no evidence of anyone else, of anybody else, nobody. And we're still not done looking at all the evidence. We still have other things to check in the lab and what kind of things? Blood swabs, other things like that. And every time they call me and tell me, hey, we just checked this, it points at Jodi. Hey, we just checked that. That points at Jodi. Nothing points at anyone else. Do you want to be truthful with me? If not, we can just end it now. And we'll leave it this way. Jodi says, I know that it's obvious I was there. Flora says, no. It's obvious that you committed a crime, that you hurt Travis. Jodi says, there's no reason for me to hurt him. Flora says, no, it's not like that. I know that you did this and you refuse to tell me why. Jodi says, there's no reason. Flora says, you refuse to tell me why. There's no reason somebody else would come in and do this to him. There's no motive whatsoever. We haven't found any. What is my motive? Flora says, jealousy, anger, fear of being alone, angry at him for not keeping you in his life. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. There are so many motives with you. Too many. We know you had a .25 auto. You guys reported it stolen. We recovered the ammunition and it matches. We recovered the shell casing and it matches the ammunition. Your prints, your blood, your hair, a motive. You were there. I wasn't jealous of anything. I was a little envious because he was going to Cancun, but that wasn't the reason. Like, I could go to Cancun. It's not cheap. It's not expensive to go to Mexico. I know you were probably standing above him when he was in the shower and you shot him in the head. I was kneeling down beside him looking at the pictures. Jodi. And then you had a knife and you stabbed him several times. Yes, you did, Jodi. Tell me the truth, please. Or if you want, we can stop here. It doesn't matter. You have given me so much already. Why stop? Do you want to? Do you want to just continue? Do you want to tell me the truth? What did you do with the gun? I never had it in my possession. Jodi, you did. Never. I don't have it. Yeah, you don't. You don't have it? You know, people say when they know of a gun, that they've seen the gun, that they've touched the gun, you don't have it? I saw the gun. Yeah, but you said you had it before. That you touched it. You've used it. I know you have. I don't think I've ever fired a gun. I've done bows and arrows, but not guns. Water guns, but not real guns. And the gun that I got on Friday, I was never used. Oh, so you're going to keep continuing to tell me that you didn't do this to him. I did not kill Travis. I believe you did. I truly believe you did. And there's nothing showing that anybody else did this. Nothing. I have been in so many scenes and so many investigations, and there's always some type of evidence left behind, no matter how careful somebody is. And in this case, there was evidence, not pointing at anybody else, just you. And that's why I have to go by. That's what I have to go by, and that's what my report is going to say. Okay. If I had planned to hurt him in any way, I'm not the brightest person, but I don't know. I don't think I could stab him. I think I would have to shoot him continuously until he was dead. If that were my intention, again, I would bring up the gloves again, but I would have to wear gloves. I mean, I am not going to worry about prints because they're going to be all over anywhere, but I would never stab him. If I had it anywhere in me to kill him, the least I could have done was make it as humane as possible, or quick, or something, if any killing is humane, so to speak. I don't mean it that way. I would, he was still alive. Yes, he was. He was alive for a while. And I knew that he had been shot first, and he was still alive, and possibly tried to get away, maybe even tried to fight back. I think he was in shock. I just remember waking up and he was... But you didn't see him fight back or anything, did you? He just kind of collapsed there and... No, he was here. She's pointing to the drawing of Travis's bathroom, right outside the shower. And then you pulled him this way and you tried to get away with him, but then he couldn't go any further. He said he couldn't move. He said he couldn't feel his legs. And that was the last place you saw him. You said he stopped and he just kind of collapsed there. She was standing there and here, and he was over here. It just doesn't make any sense. He was still able to move he was all conscious up here sort of still. He wasn't on his legs or on his knees or on his feet. He wasn't walking. He was crawling? Yeah. I'm trying to think of how he got over there. He was sort of using his legs, but he wasn't standing up. Yeah. If you're going to continue on that road, I don't think I want to go on any further. I don't remember what time I left, but I gave you the opportunity. This was the only opportunity, okay? And you gave me information that you were there, but I knew you were there. And then you throw some story in that's not plausible. It just doesn't make any sense with the evidence that was there at the house. It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense at all. That evidence tells a story, and nowhere in that evidence does that story that you told match up. It doesn't match. Is that how you want to leave it? You want to stop here, and that's how you want to leave it? I know that I didn't take Travis's life, and I know that you don't. I know that you did. Look, I know that you don't believe me. I don't believe you. As long as I'm here, someone else is happy that it's not them. So you're just going to let these two people get away with it. There's not even any way to identify them. One was a male, one was a female. They were taller than me, but not by a whole lot. Okay, are you ready to go back? Yeah, I guess. I'd just like to say something to his family, but I don't think that I could bring them any comfort. Okay. Maybe I could write them a letter? Well, you'll always have the opportunity to do that, so would they receive it? I don't know. I don't mean would they accept it. I mean, if it made it to them, would they get it? Do you know? Yeah, I don't have their address, and I'm not going to provide you their address. I know their address. They know where you're going to be, and if they want to make contact with you, they can do that. That's fine. I know his grandmother's address, and at least I could mail it. But I don't know if that's something. Let me see if I can get someone to take you back. You're absolutely sure you want to leave like this? You want to leave it like this? I don't know what else to say. That's it then. Okay, the next time I see you is probably going to be in Phoenix. Is that cool? Do I have a choice? Well, you're going there regardless, so it doesn't matter, but I was hoping that we could resolve this here. It's obvious by what you're telling me that you don't want to resolve this here. I just can't. Well, at the beginning you told me that you couldn't tell me because you couldn't tell me who they were, because you didn't want to get your family hurt. I can't let my family. Okay, and now you're telling me you don't know who they are, and therefore it doesn't matter, so there's nothing you can tell me. Jodi says, I can give you the best description. Flora says, so many inconsistencies that I don't even want to deal with this right now. Jodi says, I just don't want my family to get hurt. Flora says, okay, they won't get hurt. You're hurting them right now by not telling me the truth. That's what you're doing, okay? He leaves the room. Jodi picks up the recorder from the table. She examines it. She removes the cassette tape. She looks at it and then puts it back inside. Flores enters the room. Okay, I just called and talked to the other detectives, and they're going to take you back there in a second, okay? She reaches across the table, picks up the tape recorder, and takes it. He grabs the tape recorder and takes it with him. The female officer comes back in. She says, Jodi, they ran across the street to go get you something to eat. You're probably hungry now, so I figured in the meantime, while we're, waiting, and you're sort of sitting here hanging out, if you want to draft the rough draft to Travis's grandmother and family, this would be a good time for you to do that, and she hands her a paper and pen. Jodi says, well, it will just be a rough draft. That's fine, says the female officer. Jodi says, can I take it back with me? So I can use it to work on the final draft? Yeah, we can work something out, yeah. Jodi says, okay. Female officer leaves the room. Then female officer enters, puts down a brown bag lunch for Jodi on the table, and leaves. Jodi eats her lunch, tries to write a letter, and even breaks down and cries through the remainder of the videotaped interview. Let's see here. She has the tablet of paper on the table, her lunch bag's on the table. She rips out a few pages of paper, folds the paper in half, and then in half again, and then in half again. She stuffs it in her shirt pocket. She immediately removes the folded paper from the shirt pocket and puts it in her pants waistband. She leans across the table in front of the tablet of paper. She appears to be holding a pen in her right hand, and she may be writing on the far side of the paper. She's bent over the paper, and she appears not moving much. She occasionally eats a piece of her lunch. She puts the pen and pencil down, seems to be looking at the paper. She rubs her face and eyes and has her hands on either side of her head. Her elbows are on the table. She seems to be staring off to the left, rubbing her eyes again. She reaches for more of her lunch, pulls apart some pieces and eats it, rolls everything up, and puts it in the brown paper bag. Then she looks at the paper, not sure if she has written anything, or she may just be staring at the paper. Then the female officer enters the room. You all finished up? For now, I guess. What's that? For now, I guess. Can I take this or no? Well, let me see. Make sure you're not sneaking jail secrets out or something. Okay. She reads what Jodi wrote on the paper. She says, paper in there so I can keep writing stuff. Did you take some paper with you? Where did you put it? Right here in my pants. Did you write anything on it? No. Do you want to see it? Hey, Chris, could you do me a favor and make a copy of that? She hands Jodi's letter to Travis' family to an unidentified detective. And the female officer returns the folded paper to Jodi. Jodi says, thanks. Female officer says, just go ahead and stick it in your pocket if it will stay there. She says, can you stand up for me and put your hands out in front of you? We don't use belly chains very often. The unknown detective enters the room, hands Jodi the paper she was writing, a letter to Travis's grandmother's family on it, and Jodi folds it and places it in her pocket. The unidentified detective says, Jodi, green light, go ahead and keep this. Jodi says, thank you. She gets the belly chains put on her. She folds the letter, puts it in her pocket. Female officer says, okay, you're ready to go. And they both leave the interrogation room. And then the next thing we'll go over next time are recorded phone interviews with Detective Flores from June 10th, the 21st, and the 25th. So we can go over those next time, but that's the end of that interrogation there. And let's see. So thanks. I see there were super chats. Hi, Debbie V. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you, Debbie Zito, for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So just a few things, like she wanted to see the pictures, obviously, so she could craft her story. She made the female to be much like her, right, in her stature and everything, maybe a little bit larger. So she thought she could explain away things with that woman. She obviously made the woman very wanting to kill her, right? It was about her in a lot of things. And, of course, she was, doing the right thing. She didn't want to leave him. She put herself in the best light there, and she's just so worried about her family. That's why she didn't tell anyone. She was just so worried, and she was just not going to give it up. And then just wanted to see those pictures. So let me see those pictures so I can tell this story and craft this story, and then say I'm not very smart. I'm not very smart, when she is very manipulative and very smart in a very evil way. So that's some of the stuff that's going on. That she just is really a piece of work. But we'll read the interviews next time. I'm going to go now. We're going to go have dinner and stuff, and then Jimmy's going to be on at 10:30 to do January Jam, and then I'll be on later on. But I don't know what we'll be doing. Maybe we'll go through some of the. It depends how how I am. I read better during the day than I'm reading at night because I'm falling asleep, just like with the Mark Seaver stuff at night. Hi, Mama Ames. Hi, Nurse of All Trades. Hi, Kelly B. Has she ever told the truth? Does she ever confess, or is she sticking to her story of lies? Well, no. Her story changes many times. After this, during trial, she does tell a whole different story of this, and we'll get to that. But also not the truth. Carolyn had a picture of Jodi with her arm around one of her attorneys in a previous reading, and all I could think of is how I would never let her touch me with those murderer's hands, Nightmare says. To Scooter. Hello, to Scooter. Bridget, I'd have her stand on her head in a garbage can during the rest of the interrogation. Let's see. Hi, Bridget. You would want to shake her. Anybody I didn't get here? Hi, Mimi. Lucy. Hi, Lucy. Whatever happened to Lucy's World? What happened? She bought the mini brands and she was gone. Hi, Billy Boy Blue. And what about Shay? Billy Boy, I hope you're being sarcastic, right? Hi, Dandy Blooms. Teresa, she bought something for you? Teresa Lily? All right, let me know. Hi, Aurora. Emma. Darlene Cooney, hello there. Welcome. Oh, you're welcome, Darlene. Good to have you. Hi, cute kitty. Oh, you want the Elvis mug, I see. All right. Jeanette, 10th Angel. Who else did I miss? I'm just trying to see because I can't look at the chat when I'm reading. Maudlin, Carol Plant. I just want to say hi to everybody. Easily Distracted. Taco. Good to see you, Taco. How's the blanket coming? Cup of Stars. Good to see you. All right. Good to see everybody. Sweet Pea, Nightbot, even you too. Nancy M. Hope you're feeling better. Did you get your baby? I didn't open mine yet. Davita Lane. Hello there. Carolyn, I need Rough and Ready's information. I thought I sent it through to you. All right. They're in chat. I mean, they're in Slack. Do you know that, Mama Ames? Rough and Ready's in Slack. But I'll send it to you. Jessica, hi. She's one of those annoying girls who can't take the hint. The guy doesn't want to hook up. She's a clinger. She's a stage 5 clinger. How can you see what I look like, Aurora? There's a thing on the thingy. Are you playing with me, Davida? Okay, everybody have a great one. I'll see you later. Hi, Jenny Anderson. Oh my gosh. Oh, the channel judge. That's right. Oh. Okay. Yeah, she's in Slack, but I'll send it to you. I'm positive she's in Slack. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're just imagining? Oh, thank you. Well, you might be surprised. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. All right. Bye now. What do I have to end this stream?